Hey y'all, welcome back to World Cultures. Today we're going to be looking at Europe. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the different European countries and the governments and that sort of thing, all that fun stuff with government. Woohoo! So there are 44 countries in Europe, and it is split into 4 or 5 different regions, depending upon how you want to count it. So the first one is Northern Europe. The second one is Eastern Europe. Then you've got Southern Europe and Western Europe. And some people count British Isles separately. Some people count the British Isles as part of Northern Europe. Some of the most powerful governments on our planet: Great Britain or United Kingdom, Britain, England, whatever you want to call it. Technically, United Kingdom is correct, and there's a number of different countries involved in it. Then you've also got Germany, France, Russia, Spain, Italy, Poland, and Greece. Now, we don't think of Greece as being powerful anymore, but it's definitely one of the most important to history as far as terms of like democracy and some of the way that we live, some of the what we consider the Western way of life. Poland is becoming more and more powerful. Poland currently has the most powerful army on the European continent as far as just single countries' armies. Now, overall, NATO or the EU, the European Union, could put together a pretty potent army. But just on the basis of one country, it would be Poland. Italy, also Rome, think of the Vatican and the importance of those places and the importance that Rome and Italy has had throughout history. It's definitely not one of the most powerful ones now. Spain, the same way. You've got to look at that from a past standpoint, not a current standpoint. But if you look at, at one point in time, they controlled about half the planet. Okay, maybe not half the planet, maybe a third of the planet, because they controlled all of South America and most of Central America, except for Brazil. Portugal controlled Brazil. Russia, largest country on the planet. Part of it's in Europe. Part of it's in Asia. Then you've got France, Germany. You all know Germany's caused some problems, right? And, of course, the UK. Southern Europe is a region covering the southern part of Europe. So we've got Albania, Andorra, Bosnia, Herzegovina, and Bosnia and Herzegovina are the same country. Croatia, Greece, Italy, the Republic of Macedonia, Malta, Montenegro, Portugal, San Marino, Serbia, Slovenia, Spain, and the Vatican City. And I guess if I would have been a smart person, I would have been pointing these out to you on the map, right? So Andorra's an itsy tiny country right here on the boundary between Spain and France. It's in the Pyrenees Mountains. You've got Spain, Portugal, Italy, Greece is here with Crete. Turkey is right here. Now, Crete is becoming more and more important because these islands right here in the Mediterranean, Turkey and Greece are actually pretty close to going to war over them. Yet another place to keep up with, Crete and Cyprus. Yeah. Albania, Macedonia, Montenegro's here, Serbia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Croatia, and Slovenia. Vatican City is inside of Italy. It's actually inside of Rome. It's the smallest country in the world. The Vatican City's maybe not even the size of downtown Springfield. It's really tiny. Then you've got San Marino, which is also a country that's inside of Italy. We call these perforated countries. Northern Europe, the British Isles, once again, the northern part of your continent. You have Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and the United Kingdom and Ireland. So 10 countries total. All of these countries are members of NATO. I think there are a couple of those southern ones that are not, but the main ones you're hearing about right now are these ones in Northern Europe, particularly since Finland has applied. Finland used to belong to Russia, and this big old long border with Russia is being fortified as we speak. Okay. Then you've got Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. These also used to belong to Russia. These are what we refer to as the Baltic countries, because this is the Baltic Ocean, or Baltic Sea, excuse me. Western Europe, one of the most powerful areas. You've got this is where Protestantism started. Definitely not where Catholicism started. That started in Italy. I know they'll tell you differently. That started in Israel and blah, blah, blah. It didn't. And that's a different issue altogether. But so these countries have been important over time. You've got France. I guess it helps I go in order here, right? So you've got Austria, Belgium, France, Germany, Liechtenstein, which is right in here. And it's an itsy bitsy teeny tiny country. Luxembourg, Monaco, the Netherlands, and Switzerland right here. Now, I don't know about y'all, but for years and years and years and years and years, I thought that the Netherlands and Holland were the same country. They're not. Okay, so, but the Netherlands is an area where you've got a lot of flooding and the dikes and so forth. Germany used to jump in and go anywhere they wanted to through here because Germany and Austria controlled this whole area. And once upon a time, Austria controlled all of this area too, the Austria-Hungarian Empire. Eastern Europe is the rest of Europe, right? There's no agreement because of where the boundaries lie with Western Europe. The 10 Eastern Europe countries are Belarus. Hearing a lot about many of these in the news right now, right? We'll talk about those in a second. So you've got Belarus, Bulgaria, which is right here, Czechia, which used to be the Czech Republic. Okay, it still is shown that on the map, Czech Republic, but they call it Czechia now. Hungary, which is hiding from me on the map. There it is. And then you've got Poland, Moldova, just here, Romania, Russia, Slovakia, and the Ukraine. Now, the Czech Republic of Czechia and Slovakia used to be one country, Czechoslovakia. Hungary used to be part of Austria, and they were part of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, which controlled all of this area. Now, Turkey is another one of those countries that covers both, but only a very small section of Turkey is actually on the European continent. And that's just this little segment right here. The rest of it is technically in the Middle East on Africa's continent. You've got the Straits of Hormuz right in through here. Now, this area is where a lot of oil goes through, and this is an area of argument over who's got what and who's going to control what and blah, 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 blah. Belarus is working with Russia. Poland is worried that Belarus is going to invade. Poland is also worried about Russia invading again. There's this little area up here that's technically part of Russia because it gives them a ice-free port that they can get things out of. That's part of the reason why they took over Crimea, was so that they could get ice-free port. They've always claimed that area. Lots of tension in this area, not just because of Russia and Ukraine right now. There's also ongoing issues in Slovakia and Romania and Bulgaria and Turkey, just everywhere through here. Yeah. Alliances, you've got NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which Turkey is a member of NATO and they're nowhere near the Atlantic. Go figure. You also have the UN, the United Nations, and the EU, the European Union. Now, the European Union has nearly every nation in Europe as part of it, and it allows for free transportation between the borders of those countries and has a single currency, the euro. The difference is that Britain is no longer part of the EU. They withdrew, what's that been now, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, with Brexit. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, also called NATO, or the North Atlantic Alliance, is an intergovernmental military alliance. This was set up during the Cold War to counter Russia. And so that way, if Russia attacked anyone in the West, then the West would have a group that would be strong enough to combat Russia. There is what is called the Fifth, I want to say Fifth Amendment, but that's not what it is. I can't remember the right term. I'll think of it later. But it states that if any one member is attacked, it's an attack on all of them. The only time that this has been invoked is after 9/11. So it's not been invoked except for that one time. And it appears as though even if Ukraine becomes part of NATO, that it might not be invoked then either, because the war's already going on there. NATO wants to get involved, but doesn't want to get involved. So you hear a lot about the fifth one. There's also a fourth, dang it, I keep wanting to say amendment. And again, I know that's not right. I can't think of the right word. But there's the number 4 agreement states that they can all come together to discuss a situation and not necessarily go to war, but they can decide after having this meeting whether or not they should go to war. So NATO is very important in the world, not just in the US, not just in Europe. The EU, the goals are to promote peace, offer freedom, security, and justice, sustainable development, competitive market economy, and environmental protection, combat social exclusion and discrimination, promote scientific and technological progress, and respect cultural and linguistic diversity. This was created in 1993. They do have 28 countries currently in them. Did you notice that both the EU and NATO are headquartered in Belgium? And people say that the UN wants to be the world power. Maybe Belgium does. Just kidding. And I don't think that there's any chance of the UN ever becoming a one world power. They don't have the power. They're tiger with no teeth. And the UN, speaking of which, currently there are 193 countries that are part of NATO, part of the UN. The maintenance of international peace and security. The UN does this by working to prevent conflict, helping parties in conflict make peace, peacekeeping, and creating the conditions to allow peace to hold and flourish. And I'm sure you're probably imagining, so what are they doing in Ukraine? Nothing. Basically nothing. To hear some people say it, well, it's because Russia's on the Security Council and vetoes everything that they try to do. There may be some truth to that. I honestly don't know. The UN, I said, really is a tiger without teeth. Different countries can and do send army people, military officers, and troops to the UN. They put them at the service of the UN. The goal there is to help stop things from happening, such as when there was the ethnic cleansing genocide going on in Bosnia. They went in to try to stop that. They also finally went into Sudan. They went into Rwanda, but not until after more than 100,000 people have been killed. They are looking into going to Nigeria right now. That's a big mess getting ready to blow up in Africa. the UN does a lot of talk, but they do a lot of things to help groups. One of their big thing is to try to prevent child hunger. Notice I don't say end. They did try to end it for a while, and they found that that didn't work. That's the UNICEF. It seems as though they can't end hunger no matter how hard they try. They also promote medicines for people in rural communities and in countries where there's no doctors and so forth, so they get medicine and vaccines. They work with the Jimmy Carter Foundation and the Bill Gates Foundation to get medicine and vaccines where they need to go. They also work on getting clean water to different people. So they do a lot of good things. And that is it for our lovely quick tour of the government systems in the different countries in Europe. Tomorrow, we will be talking about the climate in Europe. Have a good night.